Hi, YouTube. I'm Hill. We live on Twitch. I have become a foy for the net 2 minute. Don't ask questions. It's not important. It's fine because we got a Quopy video to watch about hate NGS with a question mark. Let's finally do this. Let's finally see what did Quopy going on about. Is that time of the season where we get a middle low discussion about NGS being bad or not bad or maybe super bad. We don't know. Let's see. I'm curious. I'm just very curious because I always find Quopy opinions a little fascinating because, reasons. Uh,
Good morning,
anyway,
everyone. Today we're going to be
what are we
talking about
doing?
how I'm able to play NGS for over 3.5 years without burning out and without hating the game.
Okay, so this is about not burning out. Got it. You guys were right about that. Just for the record, I'm I'm very curious. Any more so now, knowing the context of that video now. Um, I don't even know how I didn't burn out because I technically didn't burn out. We're doing it for about the same amount, maybe a little longer. Like I said, my thing was Sega. But either way, tell us the reason, Quopy.
But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily. So if you do play this game, I would
Also,
really
goodbye, Full
appreciate a
Helmet.
subscribe
I'm all
as it
upset.
really helps out the channel.
Go subscribe to
Anyway,
Quopy.
without further ado,
You all
let's
subscribe to
begin the
Quopy. Who am I kidding?
video.
Either way, go subscribe to Quopy, chat.
Alright, so the very first thing that I want to get out of the way is, of course, today is PSO2 Day. It actually started yesterday, so there are some freebies that you can pick up. So there is, of course, the 50 star gems, and then if you are a premium member, you get another 50 star gems.
The thing was with, like, me with it, like, because, yeah, I know I didn't get to the point of being burnt out when I was doing it. Like, the only reason that I slowly, when we were doing NGS became like a game once a week type of game, is it had more to do, maybe it had more to do with me not burning out. Uh uh since it wasn't enough to really do. And once I hit that point where just like, okay, we hop on, we do the daily, we did the weeklies, we would do like the limited time a few times, and then I would just like bail at that point of just like, oh, I know they're not up to fill in playing the game for 8 hours a day for every single day on stream or anything.
Just felt like anything I was doing was pointless. And anything I had issues with could be solved with real money.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong on that. That is 100% accurate. LTI. But yeah, I think for me, like, I realized that there wasn't enough content long term. Um, so I just started like stepping back a bit. I think that was the reason I didn't burn out. Because I think it might be a decent discussion if, if I was doing the whole thing of like, oh, I'm gonna do 8 to 10 hours every single day on stream of that one thing. Then it probably would have happened. But I would say by the time I got to the point where just like, okay, the content had pretty much dried up and not really a lot happening, I instantly started doing a step back and became a like once a week game for me outside of like events and whatnot. Um, so I think that what saved me from not burning out. Because like I said, like I still be playing NGS right now, like fully leap once a week, maybe more if once again if it wasn't for Sega.
So that's 100 star gems, which is really, really nice. We're at 4,427 star gems
And
now.
then you solve it with real money and then you're bored. Cause you realize they are just making you jump through time-wasting boring hoops to get to the end.
Like, I wouldn't even say time wasting because of like you blink and you already are in game, Especially back in the day when we had that robot that you talked to that instantly would gain you like all the new level, like 5 level every time they did a level upgrade. Um, so like I would say Sega have always been pretty bad about that of just like constantly rushing by to in game. Any of the in game is like I've stated many times that like either you grind or like one item every 9 hours, or you pull out your credit card. That the end game. Elite, back up to February of this year anyway. And I imagine it haven't really changed that much. But yeah, I think the whole thing of not even really time wasting, more like you hit that point where like there was nothing to waste your time on without you want to do, the cosplay
I think it's
stuff.
time wasting. Get 100 of this thing to get the other thing? What's this? Farm to try and get the rare item that's like
Yeah.
0.003% drop rate?
Yeah, I get from that point of view, you're not wrong. From that ideal, you're not wrong. I think the reason is, like, I never fell into that camp because I didn't do that. 'Cause like I said, for me, like, the second I looked at something and being like, oh, that 100 item of doing it one activity, or hang out in that one zone for, like, 3,000 hours to maybe get one of that, is like, I enter the camp of, like, I'm not doing that. I'm out. So, just I never did it. So, it never was time wasting for me because I never anticipated. 'Cause like I said, I went to learning that lesson in PSO2, not in NGS, PSO2 with the Nemesis weapon. But I guess if you all still wrapped up in that ideal of, like, actually trying to get that item for the 100 whatever, or whatever number it might end up being with the drop rate, like, yes, then I agree. Then I absolutely agree about the time wasting. 100%. It just for me, like I said, I didn't anticipate that stuff, so I didn't waste my time because of that. Like I said, I learned my lesson in 2020 about all this shit. So, if anything, I had a normal breakdown then, and then I would just, like, never again. So, yeah. We've been waiting pretty hard, wag. That might have been 3 hours before now.
I'd rather have get 20 of this in one activity. Get 20 of this doing another. 20 for another.
Yeah.
20 for another. That's how you mix things up. Let me do all the content in the game.
Yeah, you're not wrong with that. I still have always been in more the idea of, like, you give straight percentage cuts, so, like, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 20, 1 out of 30, instead of being, like, 0.3%, like, make it a consistent, like, number of, like, 1 to, like, any of it, like, 1 to 100, it feel like, okay, you kill 10 dude, you get the item. You kill 100 dude, you get the item. Or you might not even get the item till you kill 100 dude, but by the time you hit that 100 dude, you guarantee the item. It's like, I feel like that drop way more than, the 0.0003 whatever percent type stuff. And, like, I will have, like, X number of times I gotta do it, and then have it drop anywhere in there, but being guaranteed at the end if all else fails. And then have that, like, yeah, and then have that, like, spread over, like a handful of content that not only be like, oh, like example, like, oh, you can do the origin quest and you can do the limited time quests, and the percentage are the same in both. Instead of doing that, have it, well, like, oh, you do the origin quest, you have a chance to get this item, but you also have a chance to get another item, that item can be used in the other quest that also can drop the item you wanted, and vice versa. So then not only are you switching between modes to get the item you want, but also to get something else that will make the other mode, or, like, complement the other mode. Um, like, that is like, what type of design I would want. But as far as, like, giving people option to do whatever or spread out between multiple activities, why giving them the option to pick either or, but also having a reason to do all of it as well beyond, the whole get 20 heal, get 20 deal. But yeah, that will more my design aspect comes in.
All right, with all the freebies out of the way, now it is time to talk about the topic
Talk
of
to it,
how
keroppi.
to avoid burnout, but more importantly, how to not hate NGS. So I've begun to notice in the past, I want to say like year to 6 months, a lot of people are becoming a lot more toxic towards this game.
Wait, what? The last 6 months to a year, keroppi? Keroppi, my boy, keroppi. Have 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 do you not remember when, like, Playboy and Bouncer, like, right before they came out, and literally everyone was screaming from the rooftops about how bad NGS was when when we all was out in the fucking forest in Alio for like thousands of hours before we any got off for Kelto drop like 6 months later. And that not even counting the people that were bitching and moaning and hating the game because of the whole like lag and disconnect, the normal launch shit, which I don't count because every game have that shit. But the ones that literally the time period that killed NGX content cradles and like had a giant like player bait drop off the fourth time that happened. People have been hating on NGS like forever. Like I don't think someone remember like the days of the insane mental breakdowns of like Automata and whatnot, like that time period. Maybe, and then also not even counting how like what was it? Wasn't it like 2 years ago that that oh like Nightshade literally had like a giant toxic group like attacking all because of copium. Like, let's be honest, toxicity is it and hatred is it from almost like legit hatred and toxicity like existed before we any got out of Alio. And then if you want to count the toxicity from the launch, but yeah.
And I understand
Maybe it got
why they
Warsaw,
feel this
but
way. You know, the content
I feel like it
cycle is
always been
incredibly
there.
slow. They tend to keep pushing out AC scratches, and like, the game just does feel very stale after a while, especially if this is your main game or the game that you play every single day. So, I understand where these people are coming from. However, gaming as a hobby is
all half-at, not really joking, but half-at joking aside is like, yeah. I
just like everything else,
Colby.
balance is key to everything. So, there are multiple games out there, thousands, if not tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands different games out there. So when you get sick of a certain game, it's perfectly fine to play another game. Even if you just need to take a break, maybe you really are burnt out of NGS.
Yeah, because let's be honest, like, what up, T.I.?
Man. Months later. And his gameplay is still this same ass duck fouls. This doesn't help.
Oh god, I wonder if that was done on purpose. You're not wrong. Literally the last time Quopy was like, fix your shit, Sega. It was literally the same fight. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I didn't even think about that. Holy shit. But I do agree with Quopy on that point of just like, yeah, taking Boy at ideal, it like honestly like having that like addiction to that a point, or not even really addiction, and more I get more like being stuck in like the what of a routine of playing one specific game like every day. It like it like way better to honestly take break, because I have seen so many people that like, man, like, just walk away, for a little bit. And in the case of NGS, like, I get the whole thing of like, oh, if it like, like, like WoW or whatever, whatever other game, and like getting burnt out on it and being like, I can't walk away because, I'm going to get behind. Like, I get that for that. But when you come in like NGS, it's like, let's be honest, don't know really getting behind in NGX, because like, as we have always experienced, seen, talked about it, like most of the time in NGS, it's like, I guarantee you, like me, I haven't touched it in almost a year now. Come February, I'm pretty sure if I come back tomorrow, you give me like 2 days, maybe less, I'm probably caught up to wherever all you guys are in one way or another. They're like, or very, very close to it. So it's like, NGS especially is a game that, walking away when the film thought happening is 100% legit. Any more so than what it might be in some other games if you fall into that mentality of, falling behind. So absolutely, Quopy.
And it's time to take a 6-month break, a 1-year break, or whatever. And I
Almost a
promise you
yield,
guys,
chat.
if you manage to take that 1 year break and then you come back, NGS is going to feel like a brand new game to you.
We will see about that, Quilpy. We will see about that. Like, isn't the only, like, main big thing I have missed out on would be what? The robot, like, mounts up and, like, the card game. Isn't that, like, the only, like, big thing? And maybe, like, what, 1, maybe 2 Origin quests, and that kind of, like, it? And also a whole bunch of outfits that, you know, I don't care about to begin with, but yeah.
However, I do understand that a lot of people
I
have
don't
this
know about that,
mentality of
Quilpy.
like, no, if I quit a game, I'm quitting it for good and I'm never coming back. And, you know, if that's you, to be honest, if you're not having fun, I would much rather have you quit this game forever, go play, have fun on whatever game.
I do agree with Quilpy on this, 100%.
Will there be a F King in Central? We'll find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Exactly. I do agree with Quilpy because this is my stance in general. I'm 100% with him on this. I'm like if you, this is like my own belief here. Like, if you ever get to a point, because you know what we do is, you know, like all complaining, like on one hand, it's like a little more on the jokier side. On the other hand, it's like more of like from a design aspect, which I was doing that shit when we were playing the game. But it like, if you ever got to a point with any game or anything, movie, book, whatever, to the point that it literally affecting you to the point of being like super, like super angry or super like depressed, like anything that get you to a feeling that is not like helpful and actually hurting you. Because let's be honest, the people that scream from the top of their lungs about shit, like legit screaming and angry, is like we all not getting any younger. Like, calm down. Your heart rate getting too high, your blood pressure getting too high. You better be careful. You're gonna get cow at your eye. Calm down. But if you get to like that degree of just hatred, it's time to go. You know, like absolutely, it's time to just be like, if you ever have that thought at all about anything to that extent, like walk away. Just walk away. Like, if you never return, so be it. Plenty of other stuff out there, ideally. Like, you know, a product that exists to get money out of you and maybe give you a little bit of enjoyment sometimes. It not worth your own, like, physical or mental health at all. So absolutely, it just, like, move along, you know? And the main reason...
Well, I honestly got a tiny bit like that. Maybe not angry, but that high emotion from pulling and then down in the dumps and bored.
Yeah.
But now I just troll.
Yeah, that well I am. And like I'm more like I said, I will admit freely, like I said, I got no like I can do mechanically bitching about PSO all day of the week. Like, but like I said, for me it's more just like half-at joking because the game never really changed at all. And also, like I said, just design stuff. But I do design stuff to everything. Like every game we play, at some point I'm gonna sit here and be like with my spreadsheet being like, it could, you know, be way better idea to do X, Y, and Z from a design point. Like hell, we were doing it last night with the devs of the Final Fantasy mods. But like I do it with everything. Because you know, I like design. You know, that's my own kink, I guess. But nonetheless, but yeah, I'm a firm believer. Like if anything get to like that type of like toxicity, like mental or physical health type shit, it just walk away. And the main reason I say, like, half of the people out there that are getting angry and pissy about whatever video games or AAA games or anything, I'm looking at you, Joe. That like the legit people that like legit get angry and not doing it for like clicks or anything. I'm a firm believer, like the majority of that audience needs to stop playing video games altogether. And, like, go find another hobby, man. Like, I don't know. Have you ever heard about I don't know, Lord and Savior that is Gundam? Maybe go get Gundam. I'm just saying it might help. But yeah, like nothing in life should ever bring you to that amount of feeling. Um, any when it is, or any more so when it tied to stuff that it allegedly supposed to be bringing you fun and enjoyment. Once again, allegedly. So, like, yeah, maybe a time to just be like, maybe this hobby just not for you anymore. Or in the case of video game, maybe your hobby now need to realize that maybe playing newer stuff is not for you, and maybe a time to start downloading some emulators, or going and picking up game from yesteryear that you can get your hands on legally or not legally. Like, you know, um, so absolutely, like, cause I still to this day, I still see people who play NGS that it's still like to the point that like, dude, if you don't calm down, it like in the next few years, I could see you having a heart attack from how angry you are. And you're like fucking 35. Calm down, man. For your own well being and your family well being. Like, fuck, dude. Um, so yeah, that's how I am. I'm just a firm believer if you to that point, like step away, man. Like, step away or go get a new hobby, do something. Go find some type of enjoyment in your life. Without your enjoyment of being angry, which I know them people exist. And if so, I get Godspeed. See you in the grave at 45, type of deal. So yeah.
Get crosscode. Get Unicorn Overlord. Get Metaphor. Play
Mhm.
those instead. Do
Absolutely.
it.
Or better yet, go play Wayfinder. If you want a game that better than NGS that do the same thing NGS did outside of cosmetics, and you wanna rechannel your use of playing PSO2 on the Dreamcast, and you cool with it being like semi steampunky, go get Wayfinder. You know, you know. Also though my nightly PSO video of trying to get all of you to go play Wayfinder. So yeah, like absolutely. Also, hi Sam. Thank you for getting my YouTube video demonetized, Sam. Hi Sam. But yeah, we're in the middle of a YouTube video. Hi Sam. But yeah, like absolutely, chat.
And then when you get sick of that game, you might want to come back and be like, all right, we've given Sega 2 years to develop this game. Let's see what's changed. And I promise you,
Probably not
when you
much.
do come back after that long of a break, the game will have drastically improved. The reason why
A copium, Quopy, a pill copium. Actually, it might, but
a lot of people were watching this headline
we
and
will
going like,
say,
oh my god, this is a 0 out of 10, it's absolute garbage, blah blah blah. It's because you guys have been playing the game every step of the way, like myself. However, what a lot of people don't see is the big picture. I want to say that maybe less than 10% of the player base has been with NGS since day one, 3.5 years ago. I'm one of the rare few people who have been playing the game since the initial release of PSO2. So that's 4.5 years ago.
Why
and
don't
I've
we
been making
Quopy not long is like at that point, what, me and Quopy? Oh god, chat. Is it really as far as like content creators are concerned? Is it literally just me and Quopy? I got Quono and them was out, but from like a professional standpoint, like as a job point of view, I guess it would be just me and Quopy, wouldn't it? Technically. So
content for this game for 4.5 years every single day without missing a day. Well, I did miss
yeah,
a
wait
couple
till
days,
Lucille,
but you get the idea. Maybe in this 4.5 years, I've missed maybe like 7 days in total, which is like a drop in the bucket. But nevertheless, I've been here, I've seen everything, and that's why I'm able to understand why Sega does certain things. When Sega, like, pushes back Masquerade, when Sega holds off on the story, when Sega doesn't release all the cool updates that we want. It's very understandable in my eyes, because
yeah, the only thing about the updates is like that's the main reason also when like I felt like releasing content, like like I get like the reason people are angry and like why is it taking so long? Why is it not happening? Like like, man, we had discussions about that stuff, and like there was so much stuff, especially for like NGS, of it being like with so much red tape and so many different departments not really communicating with each other because they're not designed to. Um, stuff can take forever. Which you remember, like when all this started, that was one of my original like baby complaint was like my whole mentality of like how I still stand by this. Is like I don't think Sega Elite for NGS is capable of handling what 2020 and okay, maybe 2025 um live server game design is. Like and any more so like 4 years later. I
So
don't
it's only
think
understandable from the point of view of someone who's only spent a week apart from the game. Not a good point, Keck.
yeah, not. And I do agree like a little entitlement there, just a tiny bit with that statement, isn't it? Just a tiny bit. But like Quote be coming from the point of view of, like what he just stated about like I've been here for it all. Like for me, like I'm coming from like, the game dev side. Like the thing is that, like I understand why this stuff takes so long, but at the same time, in one of them cases of like why it taking so long and all the red tapes and how the departments are set up is not ideal for live server game in 2024, 2025, 2022. It's just not. Um, because like we have seen many times from you can name any live server game. Is I honestly think if NGS and Phantasy Star on Sega, if it wasn't NGS or wasn't PSO, and if it wasn't Sega, and with Sega being such a ingrained into Japan like being, if it wasn't them, I think the game would have probably always been shut down because it's like we have seen it hundreds and thousands of times of the live server games that comes out and like okay yeah the first 6 months to a year understandable shit get a little slow though but like so many live server games have died because they can't keep up with what the gaming community the player base been trained to be as well as the development nowadays for it to stay alive. And I really do think the whole ingrainment with Japan and the property, um, and also once again, with Sega main demographic being Japan and everybody else that, just extra coins in the bank, is the only reason NGS ain't able to do this. Like, if NGS were much more like a global or more a Western style like game when it comes to money, like money coming in, NGS would have been dead. It wouldn't even made it past year two. And I think the thing is about that is from like the Western side of the discussion, 'cause, Japan is Japan. I don't know the inner workings of, how the Japanese player fully feeling on a day-to-day basis. Well, here in the West, it obviously we can see this stuff because people making video about it, technically posting on social media, discussing like YouTube comment, Twitch chat, um, Discord, and like you can see the angle and the frustration there. Um, and I think a lot of that is just because over here in the West, especially if a live server game is not getting updates every month, maybe 2 months at most. Or hell, in some cases, if it's not getting an update every like week, people start claiming dead game and start like, trying to boycott shit. At like a drop of a hat. Um, and I think with the whole thing of everything taking 3 to 6 months to a year, sometime longer for this stuff. Like for example, that like your guy main talking point of like, why are we on hop up? It's been 4 years. Why are we on hop up? Well, I'm over here like we should be leaving the planet in 2025. because it's like going by the production. Um, and I think that right there is like the main issue that like over here in the West, um, that you get that, and why you get that whole angriness of like, why is it not out? Why is it taking so long? Um, like why can like Final Fantasy 14 or Blizzard or whoever, um, put out content either on the same timeline but with way bigger scale, or able to do stuff faster. And it because like them games are like weighted and designed for 2024, 2025, 2023, whatever. Um, and Sega have like them structural set up to be what Sega were doing back in 1999, 2000, 2001. With like PSO, and then also the way it was also still set up come 2010, 2011, when PSO2 launched in Japan. And I really do think if they didn't have the Japanese backing on the PSO would have already like crumbled. And I think that it will like the disconnected happening on this stuff.
WoW blows NGS out of the water, and I don't even like modern WoW. Hell, it even blows 14 out of the water.
Oh, absolutely. Like, for example, like any I have talked about that, like any like Wayfinder day one, or hell, not even day one. Wayfinder in quote NDA
with the amount of
beta.
patch.
Exactly. But like any Wayfinder in literally last like February. So we talking alpha, half of the artwork wasn't in the game. The game was mixing texture, it was mixing voice acting, was under NDA, and like Wayfinder at a alpha stage had more content than NGS had 4 years later or 3 years later. And it was alpha. And was missing like half of the video or like visual shit. It literally was gray boxing in a lot of the early on stuff in Wayfinder. And it still had more content. And like, why did it have more content? Mainly was not only was the game, was designed for it instead of being it like, chopped up version that NGS is. It was designed out of the box for it. The company was set up to very quickly release stuff. For example, look how fast stuff happened before the game got delisted after they got away from Airship. We were getting like giant content patches like every single week that would take NGS a year to make.
Too much red tape too.
Yeah, like that is my point here. Like any with like Wayfinder, like any when they were that digital stream, they had red tape, but the red tape was designed in a way to do it. And it might took a little longer than it did once digital stream was gone and, Airship could do whatever they wanted. Shit started moving super fucking fast. And that right there is, I think, is the issue. That most people get caught up on, like, the American side, how American company do with this stuff. And Japan just got way more red tape. It, like, literally, it takes years. Like, for example, like, every SQAT ticket we got right now was approved, like, a year ago. They even talked about that in one of the interviews they did. So it's like something that should take no more than like a month, maybe a week or two to get the approval of the higher up in Western game dev. Took them a year to get it approved in NGS. And I think honestly that is the main thing here. I think a lot of the people that bitch about this stuff don't understand that. Or care, which is understandable. Because they're like, yeah, it's like, I know, like the Western industry, Elite, the company that can do it, the one that all designed to do it, because obviously we see failure all the time that doesn't. Yeah, that too. Yeah, Final Fantasy 14, speaking of leveling up, there you go. Level 2 cowbell, yay. Like even 14 was absolutely designed. Go watch the documentary that NoQuip put out about Around Reborn. If you watch that documentary, they literally go into that shit. Of how they literally rebuilt that side of Square Enix for that type of game dev. And like when it comes to like NGS though, it like also what
I
up?
care. And they need to evolve. Or don't. And then they'll be stuck wondering why these other games are passing them by.
Yeah, this is like my point of like, the consumer don't understand this. It got nothing to do with what keroppi is saying. Like, I've been playing every day and I only missed a week. I seen it all. That's not what it about. I will. If that fucked up happen again, I'm turning it off. We make it a YouTube video. I would turn it off, chat. But actually, hang on. How about we do that? Well, where's my audio stuff? There we go. Good. That didn't work. Oh God, I'm broken. I'm literally broken, chat. There we go. Hi, chat. But yeah, like NGS is not set up for it, and honestly, the player base don't care. They're like, to them, it just like it not fast enough. Why are you so lazy, and why insult all the complaint we have heard hundreds, if not thousands, of times. And if you like I said, from the game, but like instead of the keroppi standpoint, like I know more. I like that. I come from the development side, and like I get it. I understand why it like this. But your normal Smo Joe who played PSO, who bitching on Reddit or whatever, they probably don't know, a lick of game design ideals or how any of this stuff is made or work. Which at the same time, they enjoying the game. Why it up to them to understand this? It's like, yeah, we can educate them, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And I
mean, why should we care? You're competing with these other companies.
Exactly.
There are expectations.
Yeah, that's the other thing about it, which is like my Devil May Cry argument. Is like, we are no longer in the time period of like, oh, I can only play WoW. I can only play EverQuest. I can only play Final Fantasy 11. I can only play Star Wars Galaxy for all the people that did that. And like, that time period doesn't exist where like, oh, I pay $40 to buy this MMO. I'm now paying $12 to $15 a month. I cannot afford another MMO. I can't afford another game. Like, we're not in that time period anymore. And I think that the other thing that that Sega kind of did not comprehend is like, nowadays we don't have that. And nowadays you could literally, you can play a game for 5 seconds and be like, this is not for me. I'm out. And go play something else, And like, you can drop games so quick and have a new game to play so quick, especially with how live service, free-to-play, digital stuff have turned out over the last, decade or so. Like, we at a point where you can no longer trap people by being like, oh, you don't got $40. Oh, you don't got another $15. Hey, you always paid for 30 days, so you might need to play for 30 days and hope you get them addicted. That is gone now. Like, because at that point, you got what? Final Fantasy 14 and WoW. And 14 got a super general free-to-play mode, and WoW is whatever WoW do nowadays with it free-to-play, if they still have that at all. But yeah, like that mentality from, once again, like Sega is like another thing that is hoarding it, I feel like. But on the other hand of that, like at the end of the day, if Sega, like we can queen from the rooftops of like, man, you need to like restructure your development cycle in a way that is more positive to get stuff done and get stuff done faster without the red tape. But at the same time, it's like, that is a lot of work on their end to do that for something that might not even really pay off at the end of the day, because you got your Scratch people, you got your Japanese players doing stuff already, and it could be one of them cases like, we good. We fine. We make enough money. Who cares? It's enough to fund it. Enough to fund Sonic merch. We don't care. And I think that it will, that issue overall is happening here, is especially in the West, is like, player got no reason to care about game dev. The only thing they care about is gimme. I need it now. because like the games that live and survive, one on that ideal of like constantly giving stuff. Any of it like very small stuff, it's still that content like dopamine here. And NGS can't do that outside of, the scratch items. And even then that can get a little questionable. And I think that is the main thing. And I feel like seeing the future is like, once again, like I've always said, like Quopy whole thing of like, oh, we're going to get better in time. It's been 4 years, but you get better in time. I think Quopy falls into that camp of like, oh, it will get better, just quit, come back, like what he was saying, just quit, come back, it'd be better, it'd be a decent game in 2 years, it'd be fine. Go do other stuff, come back. It will be better. Which I think he's not fully wrong on that, but
I still think Sega bit off more than they can chew.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think they did that well because I think Sega still think they was able, which the game been alive for 3 years, so I guess it's semi-working, allegedly. Like thinking just like Capcom with Devil May Cry 5. It's like, we can still make games like we did in 2010. We don't need to pay attention to the market. We don't need to pay attention to the consumer base and our demographic. We don't got to pay attention to our competitors. We don't got to do anything like that. We're going to make a game like we did in 2010 and people going to play it. And that's what we're going to do. Head in the sand mentality, which is 100% what they do with NGS. And what, Capcom did with Devil May Cry 5, which hopefully now Capcom is starting to learn, at least in, some of the other divisions anyway. But yeah, like, and like I said, that's the one thing I don't understand. Like, why is it specifically the PSO division? Well, every other part of Sega, like, oh no, they hip with the kids. They all, keeping up with everything I named. And NGS just not. And which in return, I get that. It's just the whole thing of like, I make money, good enough, who cares? Moving on, type of deal. Like, do you want your new Sonic t-shirt, chat? But yeah, I think that's the main thing there. But as far like future content is concerned, is I said that once again, I said that going back to Alio, and I once again still stand by this, is I'm a firm believer. Well, most people would do the copium stuff, but like, oh, NGS gonna be the best game ever in 6 months. Lucille gonna change everything. It's gonna be a better game. Housing gonna change everything. The game gonna be the best game ever because they're adding housing. Like the copium people, like them people exist. But I fall into the camp of like, NGS will progressively get a little bit better, but not as quickly as most people want, for obvious reason. Without you are a AFK WAT, or you live in the salon type, or you're out there doing the whole 40-hour for one item drop.
No, I swear. This time, it will change everything.
Oh, we remember
I
Lucille.
swear.
We remember Lucille. Is I believe NGS will get better, but it's gonna be small little thing to become better and better. And my statement that, like I said, all the way back in Alio, was this game will ideally be fan-fucking-tastic eventually. The problem is will anyone care by the time it gets there? That is like the big question. And I honestly think NGX could turn out to be as good as PSO2, if not better than PSO2, in another 5 years. But will anyone care? Outside of the people that already there, once again, doing the salon stuff, the AFK watting in Central, or farming for that one item every, 25,000 hours or whatever.
The tiny Japanese player base will care.
Yeah. Yeah, they will. Absolutely. The people who were playing NGL or PSO2 all the way up to, the 10-year fan. When PSO2 started getting a downcline, the reason NGF became a thing. like when it started going down, like the people who are still playing now every day, yeah, they will kill. Absolutely. Like Quopi have always pretty much stated he will kill. And like Quopi are fine, obviously, seeming like, you know, waiting a decade. But the problem is like, will enough players care to actually then be like a motivator to keep making the game better or to make another NGS game that's not gonna be like, you know, a mobile gotcha game. And, like that it will, I think the main thing is. So yeah, I do agree that the whole like statement that Poppy just did of the whole thing, like, oh, I played every day but like a week and I know it. It like, yeah, that a little condescending of a remark to the player base. Like I get it for, like I said, the people that just gleaming into the vein with no proof of concept of anything. Yeah, I get it. But like I feel like a lot of the players is in like in a complaint or like is valid.
It'll be like base, where it's fun at the end of it at life cycle KW.
Yeah.
Forget those other games and their journey throughout the years.
Absolutely. It would be like what NG or what PSO2 by the time it came to America. Well, like, well, that fourth year was like, man, this is great. Like, to the point that it made me start caring about MMO again. And I haven't cared about MMO since 2006 or 8 with, like, Final Fantasy 11. And literally, NGS made me want to care about MMO again because it gave me that much, like, that much hope in the genre. But once again, that was 10 years into a development cycle that then got pushed through in, like, you know, 10 months. But yeah, like Kobe being a little condescending here, a tiny bit. So I feel like more thinking from like his point of view instead of the overall picture. But at the end of the day, like yeah, all this stuff is boiled down to Sega, like structure of the company for NGS and the way the company is structured for communication, approval, and you know, all that it just made in a way that it's way more tedious and way more time consuming than it need to be. But then again, that's just Japan as a whole. Talk to anyone who live in Japan about paperwork and you understand that, how tedious and how red tape everything is. And I think honestly that is a cultural thing that is what killing it outside the country because the game never was designed to be outside of Japan. If it wasn't for, you know, the money bad that came from Microsoft.
He's thinking monetarily emo. It's cause it's his livelihood. Not a personal attack, but I'm just calling it as I see it.
Yeah, I know it's not his livelihood because I know he actually have an actual job outside of this. But yeah, like honestly, I imagine some of that probably play into it a little bit. Like, of the whole thing of like, hey, this is, you know, my spending money or, you know, whatever it might be for Quopi. Because like I was saying, like, with his viewership, it's like, yeah, he making probably 500 to, like, roughly about $500 to $600 a month in USD. Once again, I don't know what that will be in his chain weight with him being overseas. But yeah, like when you're making like $500, $600, $7,000 a month, and you're not living anywhere that allegedly is horribly offensive. Last I heard, well, he is and not that bad. I could be wrong. Once again, I don't know. But yeah, whenever you're putting out content every single day, you are the biggest person in the field. And let's be honest, he pretty much like the only real like because not extensive, what be the biggest and the most important content creator for the community as far as YouTube is concerned. Like, yeah, when you're on the top and everything, you're like, yeah, that probably plays in like a little bit. I don't know financial reason to the point of like how much of this is like, you know, actually matter to overall income. But either way it goes, any outside of financial reason, just any from being like the figurehead of like the community when it comes to content creator, like yeah, that plays into it a lot as well. Because at the end of the day, at that point, it's like yeah, you also like a little bit blinded in general. Not saying this is 100% quopy, but like you see that with a lot of content creators that do one game coverage. Well, that game becomes so ingrained into the identity that its success have to happen. You know, you can't have like, you know, you blinded to bigger issues or problems because at the end of the day, the only thing you are thinking about is about the game being successful and then by proxy, you being
Well, it's
successful.
like Asmongold with WoW for the longest time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And like, absolutely. You will see content creators like that. They get blinded by it. Which is like the main reason for me is like, you know, once I started seeing the downcline on NGS, you know, that is when, you know, I started trying to find a way out, you know? You know, why still making content creation or making PSO content? The main reason you started seeing me doing like, oh, here Tower Fantasy videos. Oh, here is Diablo 4 videos. You know, just putting stuff out there that like, I like this good enough. Let's see if it sticks. Me with like Wayfinder video, any of you know Wayfinder I love. Like I like Tower Fantasy on PC, not PS4 with Garbage Dale, but you know I like Tower Fantasy good enough. I like Diablo good enough. I love Wayfinder, but you know, like I started looking for a way out, and you know now here it is. You guys on Twitch technically, because I make more money on Twitch than I ever did on on YouTube. And yeah, I feel like Quopy is like
Here's front mission videos. I mean Armored Core.
That too. And that one Elder Wayne video that got more views than everything else on my channel that I should have totally took advantage of. But nonetheless, but yeah, it like not meaning like Quopy are doing this, but you know, in general, you know, you see a lot of this attitude in a lot of like the content creator that is like in that mid range. Like, let me be honest, Quopy with 51,000 subs, it's nothing to sneeze at on YouTube. But at the same time, it's like, you know, at all the player bait and the viewer bait is concerned, like Quopy is more in that like middle camp. You know, he not like low in that where like I'm making nothing. Like he in that camp where like, oh, I'm making enough to, you know, maybe do a handful of stuff in life that I couldn't do otherwise. So you see a lot of like when you in that range, you start seeing a lot of the people that will, you know, do whatever it takes to just hold on to what made them, you know, as big as they are. And yeah, like I think that also what played into this. So I'd be kind of honestly curious. I get we will see. We've been watching the video and see. I'm curious to see if Quopy actually goes into what do he think the future of NGS is, as well as what is his timeline he think realistically ever gonna happen if it happens. I'm curious about that.
I've seen the development process. I've seen what the devs do and how they release content. So yes, this game is very, very slow, especially in the current meta of games, right? If you look at all our gacha games, a lot of people are very used to the Chinese life cycle of video games.
When we
look at Chinese companies, you know, there's got to be a new update at least every 2 to 3 weeks. If there's no new update, the game dies. That's
and honestly, go look at the majority of the player base who played them games. That is a long margin. And a margin that got to a point that any NGS started trying to mimic. You know, with them character showcases and the stuff they were doing now. And then they stopped doing it after, like, what was that? I think that was, like, 3 months of marketing. And, like, absolutely. And, like, when you talk to most people now who play live service game, if they are not the people who are over there playing, like, Call of Duty or Fortnite.
It's Sega's fault for trying to mimic it.
Yeah, they were mimicking instead of adapting with it. The distance. You know, they were mimicking it through marketing and not trying to adapt with it from a gameplay aspect. Absolutely. But yeah, you look at the market right now of live service. You got your Call of Duty people, you got your Fortnite people, and then you have your mobile gacha game community. That is what the live service industry is right now. And then, of course, you have your WoW and your Final Fantasy off on the side, like the side MMO that, exists in there that is still a pretty decent chunk between, like, WoW and Final Fantasy 14. And, like, that is a market that have trained a player base, a large player base, into that mentality, which is once again going back to what I was saying about, like, between the Western and at Kobe point with the Chinese stuff, that it's training your consumer base. And that's the reason why, like, I'm not saying, like, they need like fully remake NGS to be like a gacha Korean Japanese game or a Chinese game. But, it like that is what the player experience is affecting. And NGS is not that.
That's basically how the Chinese companies think of game development. It's very do or die. We push out content, we give out freebies, we try to get as many eyeballs on our game as possible.
Make a new game.
Unfortunately, the way that Japan thinks, or at least the way that Sega deals with things, is they don't really give a shit. Sega's like, yep, this is gonna be our game.
Yep.
As long as it's breaking even, we're fine with it. And
Keroppi at 100% right about that. That was the one other thing I have said about NGS and Sega. Is it on one hand, it was refreshing to see a company being like, we're making our game, it making enough money, cool, we good, cool. Oh, America, we don't need your money. Asia, we don't need your money. Fuck off. We got Japanese money. It's good enough. Fuck off. We doing all things. Like, that is refreshing on one hand. But on the other side, it also, we get NGS. So, yeah. But absolutely, that's what Sega is. Sega is literally in that camp. But like I said, the main reason, if you don't live in Japan, you're the redhead stepchild of the community from Sega point of view. If they ain't recognize you as a person to begin with. Like, absolutely. Like,
that's what I said. They are okay with mediocrity.
Yeah.
AKA, as he said, breaking 100%. Even. They have no ambition. It's sad.
Yeah, because at that point, it's just like, we're just doing what we have always done. Like I was stating, like, the development, no dissing than the development was in 2010. It's literally the same development. It doesn't matter. Like, Keroppi at 100% wide about that.
Unfortunately, that's kind of how Sega sees NGS right now. They're kind of focusing all of their money in pachinko, which I really don't understand. But, it's their decision. They think there's a lot of money-making potential in pachinko. And honestly, if they just take a...
Actually, I can point that because Sega was one of the biggest investors in the pachinko industry. After Japan ended up banning gambling, and yeah, Sega, like Sega, Nintendo, a few other ones, and also Sega in general, like, they have their hands in a lot of pockets, more than what most people will like. They have their hands in manga, they have their hand in anime, they have anime houses that they have hands in, like they have hands in like sex hotels and love hotels. They have their hands in everywhere, like a lot of the Japanese companies that have been around, for like 50+ years. And also I think a lot of people also, especially outside Japan, underestimate how big like pachinko is as a loophole to gambling in Japan. So the main reason why Konami went 100% pachinko, after the Kojima shit. No reason, the main reason why, like, tech companies here in the West instantly start making shit for the government, because they're like, they're a money reason to get involved. And I think a lot of people outside Japan underestimate how big the whole, like, loophole gambling stuff is in Japan.
A little bit of that money and invest it into NGS, Kimura could do a lot more cooler stuff. If they had a bigger development team.
That's my thing. Is like, I wish they had the budget that, like, the Yakuza, the Atlas, the Sonic team have. God, it'd be nice if they did have the budget. But like, yeah, PSO have always been. But you want the thing that always bothered me, like anyone NGS and PSO2 were like bigger than Final Fantasy 14 in Japan. Like when they were the biggest MMO in Japan. That like none of that money ever went downhill into that division. Like that money always got transferred into like Sonic or Yakuza or whatever. It's like, but then again, I get that also getting to that point of like you doing good enough with breaking even or making a little bit of money off you all second biggest game in Japan by our quarterly reports. So it's like, why do we need to give you more money? You always making all the money that we need. You doing just fine with what you had. I'm gonna take that money and go give it to Sonic or whatever. So, but still, this is one of them things that like is also sad on that point as well. Is like, man, if Sega did treat PSO like what PSO is to them as a company, from the money point of view and from the popularity point of view, at least in Japan, we could have some really cool shit right now.
Had, more people to work on this game, there is the potential for a lot more stuff to be added in, a lot more content, a lot more cool things to farm for, to play. Now, recently in my live streams, a lot of people have been comparing, NGS with PSO2 or like the base game.
Yeah, MMO
and
need
the
to
base
have
game
yields
has
ahead
a lot
design.
of really cool end game mechanics.
Yeah, any of the game is not like design doc should exist. Any of it still not gonna be worked on for yield. Absolutely, Coon.
And it's just like, wait, why doesn't NGS just copy those? And that's a very valid question. Unfortunately, the development team just doesn't have enough manpower to do all of that, and it shows, right? You guys have been complaining about the game. You guys have seen the game. It's it's not in the greatest state. And
I don't think it's just a manpower standpoint. Like, yeah, money, manpower would help a lot. But I also think, like, the higher ups, when it comes to, like, the design aspect, just doesn't tell that much about that. Because once again, we start getting into the whole thing of, like, why should we start putting in, like, Beat Tribe? Why should we start putting in dungeon stuff into houses? Why do we need to make random dungeon? Why do we need to do X, Y, and Z when what we are doing is still making money? Once again, like that whole motivation thing of like, why put extra money into this to make new stuff when we already breaking even, instead of being like, you make your game better, you make more stuff, that means more people along your marketing team can handle it. Like more people would be interested in your game. There is a return there, but the thing is like, it's so like, maybe it would torn, and we all can say like, oh yeah, they put the stuff in, people be way more interested in it. Example, like Wayfinder, if they had character customization and like the salon stuff, maybe more people would have played it. Especially for the demographic they were obviously going for, with it being PSO. But at the same time, from like Sega point of view, it's probably like, yeah, we're making enough money. Why do we need to spend money to make it better when we always making the money? Or something that hypothetical of players. And like, yeah, like, they just missing that like drive there. And I don't think it 100% financial. Like, obviously it is, but I think there are still parts of that. Any if Sega had like, or the division had a higher budget, I still don't think they would use that budget to do that type of stuff. Either way it goes.
I think the flow of people in these games is interesting. I'm curious why a game like this doesn't start with a decent amount of people and improve the gameplay, and the player base increases, and peaks years down the line. Sorta like how WoW peaked at Wrath of the Lich King.
Oh, absolutely.
NGS peaked at its launch, yes.
Yeah.
And then crashed and burned.
Yeah, I think once again that go back to the whole thing of what I'm talking about here. Is I think NGX, because absolutely it peaked at launch. At least from the Western side, looking at like social media, looking on YouTube, looking on Twitch, looking in the gaming community and live service community. Absolutely, everybody was talking about NGS before he came out. like I say, like on a silver platter. The reason I use
Doesn't that mean
analogy-
it's not attracting new people?
Exactly. It was like I have talked about that before in like some of my older videos about that. But yeah, absolutely, it peaked at launch. And I think the main thing here is NGS, because I have talked about every time someone brought up like, oh, NGS is dying, like, no, it's not. And the reason I talked about that is why I think it not dying or going to die. It's gonna die when Sega kills it, not when the player base kill it. Is like as someone who like tracking, like looking at the blocks on Elite Ship 1 anyway. Because Ship 1 and 2 are the most popular ships. So Elite going by Ship 1 anyway is you can look at it and like I was tracking it up for the longest time, like every update was like the player bait like died down. And then
well, it's similar to games like Helldivers and a bunch of other games.
Yeah.
Are like 14 and WoW anomalies?
I think a little bit. Yeah. Elite from the way it designed, I think it might be. Like in long-term design, it's like, yeah, I think 14 and WoW might be that. Just because, it got hooked in a way that actually got a large margin of people hooked. And also, I think the other thing that helps with that is kids. Like, for example, look at Fortnite. Fortnite be another example of that. I think when it comes to that, if you're building a game to be like WoW, 14, Fortnite, the ones that will have, like, hell, Fortnite, what was it? Like, wasn't it like a week ago they had the largest player base they have ever had? And that game been out for almost a decade now. So I don't think it's anomalies. I think they are by design. And what I mean by that is when it came to like NGS, and like NGS, PSO2 and NGS as well, any of NGS did lean a little bit more broad, obviously, with the Silver Spoon bit. But NGS fell into that camp of like, this is the old man game. Like, especially PSO2. Like, literally at the height of PSO2. Like, my stats, and I know all the other content creators around that time when PSO2 was at its height, so we all would like sharing information with each other. Every one of us was like, our main demographic was 35 or older. And then our second demographic was 25 to 35. So by default, PSO and NGS always leaned older. By default here. And I think the big diss in there is, well, PSO2 especially, and then by proxy NGS, was playing off of the nostalgia of PSO episode 1 and 2 on the Dreamcast and GameCube. And I get F-Bot, and also Universe as well in some ways, but mainly PSO 1 and 2. Oh, episode 1 and 2. And so by the time them game came to America, we talking people all the way in the, late 20s, mid 30s, where the demographic fell. And that is how you get the people that is it, that just like, I'm just here, I don't care. You get the Masons, or you get the like grinder type of just like, yeah, I'm just doing this because of nostalgic reasons. Well, when it came to like WoW, 14, Fortnite, them games were designed in a way, like maybe not 100% on purpose. If they kind of obviously went that way, and also went that way to content creators as well. Making a game that very much focused to a younger demographic. Like the Fortnite demographic was like, what, 7, 8-year-olds originally. WoW was pretty much like, early 20s, maybe late 20s. But then you started getting into the stuff that like WoW did with them doing the stuff that was like more leaning toward kids. Example being the commercial they used to do with celebrities, and how they had celebrities that, were more like kids like, he cool, type
so
of deal.
So that's the reason why a game peaks later, rather than at launch?
Yes. But and also then we also had like WoW, like let's be honest, the South Park episode helped WoW out so much. And who was watching South Park, like especially in that time period, was like edgy teenagers. And then, like I said, Fortnite was like 7, 8. And then, you know, you also then start playing on the nostalgia of like the 20 somethings and the 30 somethings, like with Fortnite being like, oh, Dragon Ball, Master Chief, Street Fighter, you know, it just started like playing into other demographics. Um, but yeah, so if you think about it, like with like WoW very much was like was meant for the mid 20, 30 something. The main reason why literally WoW came out what was it, 3 years after Warcraft 2, like which was like up there with being one of the biggest like RTX game net to StarCraft. And like the majority of people who were playing like StarCraft and Warcraft was of course teenagers. And then by the time it peaked, by the time we got the Lich King, you know, they was in the early 20s and had money, ideally, because it was pre-2008. If I remember, I think it was, what, 2007, 6 it was Lich King. And then, like, 14, I think 14 went the WoW, just like 11, where, like, you had the demographic of Final Fantasy fans. But the thing was about 14 was, I think 14 kind of started falling into that camp of you got a handle
Only
on
asking cause. I'm guessing there is no hope for the NGS population of recovering.
not really.
There's no a realm reborn coming for NGS.
I have opinion on that, but not quite. But yeah, like I think that is the main reason. Like NGS and PSO2 was instantly, since they were never supposed to come to America. And since the games were built off of nostalgia of older games, any here in the West, you saw that. And that's the reason it went older. Well, all the other big games lean young or did things that technically were meant for kids, but not saying it for kids, you know, like the South Park stuff. Or putting, you know, Mr. T or Snoop Dogg up on the Queen when the kids are like 16, 17. But yeah, I don't think it's an anomaly. I think it's one of them things that you either got to be designed for, or when it start happening, you have to take advantage of. And NGS, once again, just don't care. But when it came to the player bait stuff for NGS, as I was saying about that, I'm like, I would sit there and just watch it. Like, oh, they lost. Like, you can also go to my TeamDB for that and see this as well.
Night Elf Mohawk Grenade. I
Exactly.
remember that.
Yep. And that one I'm saying, like, you can't tell me that was made for 30-year-olds. That was 100% aimed at, like, the edgy, like, 15-year-old. Which, like, you know, you want an example of that. Look, just go listen to admin, go talk about WoW, and you will understand what type of people they were going for. But that is a good example. But yeah, like NGS player base is like one of them things of like, it's very much stagnant where like, oh, they lose a couple thousand and then a couple thousand go up and then they lose a couple thousand. Now then back up a couple thousand. It like very much is made up of player base that, like I've always said, like the game is not dying, but it has stagnated. It have a player base that either they'll, like keroppi, they'll, no matter what, every single day, if humanly possible, maybe they have went insane, maybe they haven't from burnout, you know, eating their own on that. And then you have the people that will, you know, drop out for a couple of months, come back for update, drop out. And the player base itself is not really growing. It just kind of zitting, at least in the West. Once again, I can't speak for Japan. But at least in the West, it just kind of just what it is and what it is. And it just like up and down, but not anything drastic to the point of like being like a dead game by any means. And I think a lot of that is just...
It's just weird though. I've been trained to know that companies want all the money.
Yeah.
Sega just wants those players' money.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why I say, like, if it wasn't so bad for the game, it would be refreshing to have Sega opinion on this. I'm just like, nah, we want Japanese money and we want very Pacific people money. We don't care about anyone else. And especially over here on the West, that just don't exist. Because, here we're like, we need every bit of the money, any money you don't have. Time to start chipping at that stone, little Timmy, like here in the West. And it just like, I think that's another thing that's just confusing because it's just like American company and European country, or just Western countries and all companies in general. It just, we need it all.
Westerners have deep pockets, keck.
That too. that also a thing. Because, we love all doom spending over here in the West. But yeah, like, I bought like player bait jumping up anytime soon. At this point, the only time I will see, I feel like NGS have a moment to have a jump in player base again will be if, once again, big if here, if it comes out on the Nintendo Switch in the West. Or come out on the net Nintendo product, or the net, the Switch 2, or whatever it's going to be. And the Switch 2 is successful. If the Switch 2 have the player base that it does right now for the Switch 1, and they bring NGS to it, then we will see another jump in players. But if that never happened, because don't forget, the game did come out on the Nintendo Switch in Japan, but it was streaming only in Japan. Which is the main reason why it never came to America, because it was streaming only. But if the Switch 2 hardware are better, it wouldn't take that much to one NGS, because NGS not that big of a, graphical hard by any means. So if they bring it to the Switch 2 and it's successful, we could get a player bait boot by, easily however many, million install bait they have at whatever given point. But to that happen, if it ever happened, I personally think the PS4 would lack great Hawa. Which is the main reason why, if you noted, when the PS4 launch happened, I pretty much dropped everything and went ham on PSO. Because I knew that was going to be the last time I was going to make any amount of money of note off of PSO2. Which it was. I was making like $600 a month there for like 6 months. I made like $3,000 overall from PS4 players. Because every one of my videos were getting like keroppi number. I was getting like 3 to 4K every single video that I posted during that time period before, it fell off a cliff. And I was making about $600 off of that. And then it, down it went, as it went on. And then, now, here we are with all, 50-ish dollars, every month, give or take. But yeah, like, I don't think we will see a jump in player at all without it come out on the Nintendo Switch before the Switch 2. Or the Switch 2 is like horribly successful, 20 million install base, and then Sega put it out, which I don't think they will. Like, I'm surprised that the game any ever got ported to the PS4, to be honest. But like I said, like, Sega really don't want NGS in the West. They only heal because of Phil Spencer being a fucking, Phantasy Star nerd. Like, absolutely, that's the only reason this exists here. That is also true. Yeah, it took 2 decades for them to figure out how to make a good Sonic game. Yeah.
The way that I've been avoiding this burnout, or avoiding this like burning hatred of like, oh man, this game could have been so good and Sega fudged it up, blah blah blah, like, is honestly to just take a break. I don't play this game that often. The only times
the only thing that would be I would add would be, yeah, if you're doing it from a hatred point of view, because I have done them talking point, literally them a that talking point. But I said, when I did it, it was more like, just like from like you probably will understand it, T.I. From like a business point of view, looking at a spreadsheet of what happened, like, this is not great, and this is why this happened. Not so much the game is shit because this happened.
I do play this game is when an urgent
Like
quest pops
Sega
up
just dropped
and
the
I just
ball
happen
on
to
it.
be online, or when I'm streaming. Other than those moments, I'm actually playing other games, or I'm just dealing with IRL stuff because, you know, real life can be a real pain in the ass. As many of you guys know, you know, dealing with jobs, marriage, children, all this other stuff is pretty annoying and does get in the way of your free time. Which is why I kind of want to emphasize the point of when you do game and when you are using your free time to play video games and try to unwind and relax, that it's kind of really important that you have fun, because if you're not having fun and it's just building up more stress,
heavily in the West,
you're gonna get like really self-destructive, you know? Like, you know, obviously some people like myself, you know, you can burn off that stress by going swimming, by going to the gym and working out, doing physical exercise, but I know that the mass majority of gamers don't really use that method to burn off stress, and that most of you guys, to burn off stress, it's by playing video games, by playing these power fantasy games. But there has been a trend recently that a lot more people prefer.
Yeah, to be honest, real quick on the Maconn statement, they could make it a PSO3, but they put it off to make NGS for that podcast. I know a lot of people still think that quote unquote like giant game Sega supposed to be working on it, PSO3. I still think that is just, you know, Jet Set, Crazy Taxi, and, you know, all of them games. But yeah, like, you know, NGS was gonna happen no matter what. It just, to be honest, Phil Pencil saw NGS, and then he was like, "Hey, how much is it to get that and PSO2 and Wet?" Especially since they were so intertwined though at the beginning. Because NGS was happening no matter what. Because the reason NGS started happening in Japan was because the player base started dropping off in Japan to a point that it was getting uncomfortable for Sega. So they made NGS to bring back all them players to get the finances back up. But that only reason NGS exists is because after 10 years, PSO, and also the success of, at that point, Final Fantasy 14 overtook PSO2 as the biggest Japanese game, was just a way to do a reboot to hopefully get player back to give them money for AC scratches again. But that what that is.
PSO3, the NFT Chronicles.
Yeah, maybe it's going to be good that it never come to America. Because no matter what, NFT or not, it never coming here.
For online games, you know, multiplayer games, PvP games, Valorant, League of Legends, you know, all of this stuff is pretty toxic, and you know, if you're not winning, you just end up getting really frustrated, and usually it gets worse and worse, and it spirals out of control.
Yeah.
So this is why I think NGS is a great game if you just want to win. Because regardless of what you do, like even if you don't play the game for like 6 months and you come back, there's so many catch-up mechanics, there's so many freebies, there's so many things to do that it just makes you feel good, you know?
Okay, I kind of see where the ideal going now, but I don't think that no. Like, I think the reason people come back is not for that reason. They're like, I think when people come back, it got more to do with just like any of the games, you know, the people in the game, the community of the game.
Does it? That too. You catch up in a day, and then you realize you are farming one or two things again.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think the thing of being like, oh, the game that for you to win, so you come and play it, so you can have that satisfaction of winning. Like, I think that might be a question for CM. Did he feel like he was winning when he talked to that robot and instantly went from level 65 to 70 when they did the increase, and then he didn't have to do any of the new dungeon, or not dungeon, but the new origin quests or anything? You know, the 5 minutes of content because he always met level, so why do it? But either way, that's a question for CM when CM shows up. But I get the sentiment, but yeah, I don't 100% agree with that. I feel like if you're coming back to NGS, it's like you're not coming back to feel like you actually are successful in your win, because that means it gotta be a little more rewarding than like an hour and a half to 2 hours. But you know, then again, eat on, I guess.
As a player that's just playing this game, There's so many things that just make you feel good. Now, it's very important not to compare yourself with the min-maxers, because I realize that's kind of where a lot of people get really upset about the game.
I think if you want to come back and you want to do stuff and with no like threat, I think the better way to put it, not that make you feel good or that you feel like you're winning. I think it more of like you coming back and you doing something that is very, very low stress. And also something that, since the game did not change that much, mechanically, the game doesn't change. So in return, it's so easy to hop back in and just do a couple things, get instantly caught up in like an hour or two, maybe 3 tops, without having to worry about anything and kind of just letting your muscle memory fly. I think more of that is probably a little more accurate of the whole thing of just having something that you can do, and then at the end be like, I kind of did stuff, I guess, without any stress or anything. I think that's probably a little more accurate on this statement, though.
Is when you start comparing yourself with other players, and it's like, yeah, I'm working really hard, I'm gonna grind super hard to get min-max gear so that I can look down at all the plebs.
Or you can pull out your credit card, buy all of it off the market, put it in your character, or wait till the next holiday event and just get the item for free and then be ad powerful. You know, a little column A, a little column B, you know. Once again, as of February anyway, so...
And then, you know, like 2 months later, all the plebs get all the free gear and they basically catch up to your gear, and you're just sitting there tearing out your hair going like, oh my god, I just wasted 2 months farming for all of this. It's just...
And you wonder why we didn't farm, chat. Good job on hitting the point, Quopy.
Stop telling my trade secrets, Troy.
I'm sorry.
Where are my ninjas? My snipers?
Never play video games.
It's like, literally, Quopy just did it. Quopy just did that. Literally, listen to that chat. This is literally, he just playing NGS as a whole. Like,
get min-max gear so that I can look down at all the plebs. And then, you know, like 2 months later, all the plebs get all the free gear and they basically catch up to your gear, and you're just sitting there tearing out your hair going like, oh my god, I just wasted 2 months farming for all of this just so that I could be superior to these people, only for them to get everything for free, and now we're on equal standing.
Quopy literally hitting the point so fucking hard. And like, that is literally the point of like of all the discussion about NGS. And the reason why the gameplay part falls apart for NGS. Outside of you someone who just want to do it to do it, but if you are someone there, like...
But does he know?
That's the question. Because this is where the question comes in. Like, he understands the point, obviously. He literally stated the point that I've been saying for years. But now going to be the question if hope you understand, like, why not a bad thing? Of, like, if and why the gameplay fall apart for so many people, and why the majority of the player base are the AFK wats, or the people who just been, 20 hours in the salon. If you enjoy it, so be it. You do you. But from the actual, like, overall game point of view, is the reason why, like, once you get away from the loot boxes, you get away from the salon, you get away from, the idling, you get away from screenshotting, you get away from just chatting with people, fighting with people, depending.
Me. I was a salon person.
Exactly. I know CM is that well. I've seen go look at all the photos CM posted in the Discord and you will see that. But at the same time, it's like when your game is literally just that, of like, MMOs by default is meant to be a game that eats your time by grinding, by loot hunting, doing activities, taking part in like raids, being ready for waiting. Like, the actual gameplay aspect that exists outside of Central is that is the actual game, or should be the actual game, which is like the reason I said there was a big divide that happened between gameplay and the salon loot crate people, and how they fully separate. And that right there was the point. Is like, if you, which is well I went into, and I realized that pretty early on in NGS. I think by the time we got to, I want to say Athea, I started like when it started like fully hitting for me. I'm like, if you designing your game around that, which is the main reason why I couldn't do like 10-hour streams of just hanging out in a battle sector, trying to farm an item, because of that right there of like, why do I want to waste my time and effort to do it? And if I enjoy it, like, cause the thing was that I never hated it. But like, you know, I bitch and moan about it, you know, in our normal jokey way. But like deep down, it's like, we did it. I still would be doing it technically. But once I realized that, like, why am I putting into effort for something that doesn't really matter? Because, like what Kobe just saying, like, you know, a few weeks later, I can just get the stuff. Yeah, there might be one or two moments where like actually farming, playing the game matter. But in the overall picture of thing, you know, if I just wait long enough, it doesn't matter. So the carrot on the stick, it literally become one of them carrot on the stick of like, instead of being like, I need to do that to get the carrot, it just became like, if I do bare bones and I'm just healed, eventually the person who had the carrot will get bored and just walk over to me and give me the carrot. And that way they'll just kill player retention for me. And I'm pretty sure, like, probably a large majority of the people who play PSO or did play PSO, that was the reason they stopped. And the thing is, when you're making a live service game that is meant to keep players around to spend money by getting them invested into the game to the point of being willing to give money outside of dopamine hit, the dopamine hit comes later, you have to have a game that will motivate players to then want to spend money, and then you hope they become a whale. But by doing that type of game design, literally what he said, that literally stopped the people that could become whales from becoming it, because they will just play it, realize this is the loop, not get invested in it, and then they're just going to pedal off back to wherever they can from. You know, maybe 14 WoW, or maybe they would go play something else in general and just never come back. And that design aspect is the reason why PSO2 been like outside of, you know, the like the theme release or the epic release or the PS4 release. Like the main reason why between them big releases and any now, the player base is stagnant. Because the only people left is the people that don't care, or they are too far invested in money reasons or time reasons, or they fall into the other side of it with the loot crate, the salon, the central stuff. And not like a legit complaint about PSO2, like as a whole. Is literally what Quopi just said. So, yeah, Quopi just literally hit the nail on the head. So let's see how he followed this up now.
Like, I feel like that mentality doesn't work in NGS. The mentality that works in NGS is, hey, I want to be really strong so that I can carry all these people, or hey, I can help all of these people clear content faster.
Okay, the whole faster thing, he's not wrong. But the thing is, how many people, let's be honest, in a multiplayer MMO standpoint, any more so in 2024, how many people actually want to help other players? How many people want to carry other players? How many players only care about themselves and being better for themselves? I don't know. It might be a you know, a Asian market type of thing. I don't know, but
Wowsy. Clear this faster so we can get to that 0.003% drop rate screen. Let's go.
but like I don't know about over in them areas, but I know over here on the west, no one gives a fuck about other players. It's all about what they can get, which in return, instead of killing it faster and not doing it to kill you people, it's so they could get the loot faster. But then we get into the discussion about like how loot operates. And then if you're not broken by that lap bit, you probably will be broken by that. But and also the other part of that is like any of you not like the best, like you got like under guild, like any then you have, because I know I'm not alone in this. You also have like me, well, I fall into the camp of like, oh great, we killed a boss like 10-second faster, like 20-second faster. Whoop-de-doo, you know? You know? It's like, does it really matter at the end of the day if it takes like 10, 30 seconds longer to kill an enemy? Maybe for some people. Like for me, I'm like, whatever, I don't care. Like that nothing to me, like 20 seconds, ad drop. Like maybe, once again, maybe if we had leaderboards that wouldn't reset every week or so, and we had a proper like feed one community, and we had proper rewards that would be given out on a monthly basis for time without resetting, and also have way to compete with our friends and our guild mates, and you know, also global leaderboard, counting Japan in on this. That is a consistent thing that do not go away or do not reset. Maybe I would care a little bit more about killing it like 10-second faster, especially like, say, for example, like me and UTI got in like a competition, like, ooh, I beat that ball a half a second faster, and then you're like, I'm gonna fucking beat that ball a half a second faster than you, and then you have that competition happen. Maybe it'd be a different discussion, but yeah, I'm not buying the whole thing of doing it to help other people. I'm not. At least not over in the West anyway. Especially if you're playing with people that random.
And we're working as a team, as a community. If you have
The thing is that like how are you walking like once again, like I get the concept. But I feel like if you point it out to like team and community thing, is that need to be something I need to be something more grandeur than a origin quest or limited time quest. Because the only
Community
thing,
keck. We all hate Ekahother.
because like the only like quote unquote community thing we have is the mag. You know, the whole like, you know, the mag, if fed up at a certain point you get bonuses, but how many people really care about, you know, mag boots at that point? And then the only other thing would be like alliance quarter up with alliance point. Like I don't know, maybe if they did something like I don't know, maybe you have like a boss or something, or have like an event that happened in the game. Well, it actually tracked like the whole server. And then, you know, if you do a certain thing together, maybe then give out like rewards or something to match it. Like example of this, if you want an example of this in a game of what I'm speaking of, go look at the way conquests work in Final Fantasy 11. Well, in conquests, for anyone who's not aware of how it worked, was whenever you leave a city, you could talk to a guard, you get a fail cat on you, and then for I think like an hour or two, you have a fail on you. For every zone you go into and you killed an enemy with that fell on you for your from your kingdom that you represent, since there were 3 kingdoms, the your overall kingdom got points. And then every, I want to say, I think it was weekly, if I remember right, back in the day. It was weekly or monthly. I don't remember that time. That at the end of that time limit, whatever country had the most points in that area would then get a special NPC put in that area that you could get item from. If your kingdom owned a certain area, you could teleport out there. If you didn't, you couldn't teleport. Also, in the town, there will be an other NPCs that will show up to sell you items that is exclusive to items that you could only get for mobs in an area. So let's say you were the cook and you wanted to get like lizard meat. And the shop would be like, if you didn't own like the zone that the lizard was in, if your kingdom owned that that zone and took over that zone, you would then have an NPC back in the city that would sell you the lizard meat that you would have to go out and farm. And you could just buy it. And as soon as your kingdom lost that zone, that NPC would go away. And now you can't get that item. And you got to go out to that area and farm the monster to get it now. You know, add like a poop, just like a simple thing that it did. So because of that, like, it very much built a community that was very much like, we must take over these certain zones and areas because we need the items. Might it be for, crafting, might it be for getting new weapons, might it be for ease of transportation because there was no fat travel in Final Fantasy 11 outside of taking over zones or having a white mage at like level 40, which, is hundreds of hours to teleport you around. And even then, they couldn't take you exactly to where you wanted to be. They could go and get you like halfway. And like, that is like activity to build towards like community and like go for your team. And yeah, NGS don't have any of that. Like, at best we have the mag and your alliance portal at best. So I don't think taking down an Origin Quest fault that's gonna die no matter what, because there's no wiping at all happening, is exactly team or community. But I get eaten on that though.
Have this type of mindset, then it doesn't feel as bad, because when everyone gets stronger, it's like, oh, thank God they finally got some gear. Now we can clear XYZ content faster and smoother. That's the mentality that I've been using whenever I've been playing NGS, and it's definitely worked out better
like
than
a
if
limited
I had like
mentality,
an elitist, or
though.
if I was constantly comparing myself with other people.
Like, yeah, I get the whole thing not comparing, because comparing yourself is never ideal. I bet you if it's like to the point of arrogantness. If you're comparing yourself like, dude, that is some cool armor, I want it. Like what old MMO did before they started doing like fashion stuff and glamour stuff in games, which is the main reason why I hate glamour stuff. They're like, yeah, but yeah, I get. But then again, I guess you all kind of just comparing yourself to the city wats, I guess.
Through like gear and potency and damage and all of that stuff. Like, yes, you can, and obviously between friends.
But like I said, none of that matter, because everything in the game will die no matter what, with like bare minimum effort.
Yeah, but sometimes the rare armor is glamour.
That is true, especially in like later stuff. I feel like that. I'd admit the whole thing of like walking into a town, seeing a dude with like a chest piece or a sword, and being like, "Oh my God, he got that." I know what he had to do. I can't get past that. He did that. Oh my God, he a badass. And then like that motivation, like, oh God, it's so cool looking. Fuck it, I'm gonna go try a little bit harder. It's just like I meant like that time period, but I'm just saying most of the time with like a lot of glamour stuff and a lot of like costume stuff, a lot of it is it's the fashion show type of stuff where just like most of the time it lower end stuff just painted a certain way or tied to money and microtransaction. Like example in like PSO, you would look at a character and be like, man, I want that dress. Well, I hope the pool is still available, or hope it's still in the player market. instead of just being like, man, I need to get out there and do that content. You know, like that what I'm meaning from like back in the day when you saw the stuff. It was like not only a sense of like pride to be able to show it, but also the other player being like, holy fuck. And it become like a motivation for that player to go do the stuff to get it. But yeah, I know they do have certain Gramble that are tied to certain dungeon and stuff, but you know, I mean like as an overall statement though, not like the individual item that not tied to that.
You know, some competitive spirit is nice to kind of like urge you on to try to keep up or try to like, you know, become better at the game. But at the end of the day, you know, it's a video game, guys. You're really just here to play, to have fun, to wind down, to chill out. And that's
Allegedly,
what this game does, right?
I mean,
what this
that's
game
like
does
the
really well.
FF12 motorcycle mount in 14. You have to beat all the solo world bosses in this one zone, while the whole zone watches.
Yeah, like we had that in 11, like in retail, was Pinwheel. To get Pinwheel out of mount, you had to go and unlock Summoner, which was a pain in the ass in its own way. You had to then go and get every single summon in the game. And then once you got every summon in the game, you had to do it again. You got new dialogue and stuff when you did it again, but you had to do it again. And then once you beat every summon, they would tell you about Pinwheel, and then if you go beat Pinwheel, you would get him as a mount. So yeah, that was like the 11 version of that, but with that mount specifically.
That's why so many people lobby rat. That's why so many people like the fashion part of the game. That's why people are okay with just grinding PSE burst or grinding dual quests for hours on end. It's because they find it therapeutic. Yeah. They find it chill. They find it
Look at that, didn't they? What'll make you happy?
They just
you
want
do
to
you.
wind down after a horrible day at work or whatever.
It's like a more larger discussion.
That's kind of the strength
more
of
to
this
it than
game.
just that.
And that's what I treat this game as. If I've had a really bad day and I feel like shit, I launch up PSO2, I go into a combat zone, I slay tens of thousands of enemies, and I feel good about myself. I'm like, cool, you know? I made a couple million Meseta, I killed a bunch of enemies, I've blown off some steam, and I feel good now after an hour or two, and I log off. I'm just like, yep, cool, you know? The game served its purpose, it made me happy, I'm all good to go, and then I log on to League of Legends or Valorant, and I get even more pissed off because I lose all my games. But nevertheless, you know, each game serves its different purpose.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the conclusion of today's video is really just
none of it matters.
Chill out. Chill out.
Nothing in life matters. Despair and darkness. And yeah, also I get, yeah. At the end of the day, none of that really matter at all. It's like supposed to be enjoyment for a reason. And like I stated at the beginning of that video, like if you're getting to the point where you're like, you know, you wait to punch somebody, like maybe it's time to find a new hobby.
If you're not having fun with the game, don't play the game.
Absolutely.
It's that simple. I know some people are like, oh, but I've invested so much time into this game, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, if you just take a break, you're going to feel so much better.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm a firm believer in like time, money, friend, doesn't matter. If it's bringing you negativity in general, you cut that shit off. It doesn't matter. And then like, once again, if like you feel up to coming back to it later, so be it. But you know, you can't let money and time like take your life away from you. Like the main reason, especially when it comes to money and time as well, is like whatever you are doing, if it's not bringing you enough joy to justify spending the money in the moment. Or over X amount of time, like if you're buying like DLC that like 5 hours long or whatever, if it's not giving you that whatever you find as equal value of enjoyment from it, it like that is what matters. Like you getting your enjoyment, and if you're not, then probably don't spend the money. But also, if you have spent thousands of dollars and you to the point of quitting, or need to quit, it's like, instead of using that stuff as being like, oh, I can't quit because I spent all that money or time, it's like more of like, no, ideally what you have spent your money on will got you the enjoyment in the moment that fit how much you spend, and that what matters. And you got that. And then no point lingering onto that when you know you need to leave. So absolutely. like, ideally, like, yeah, you get to that point. Don't let that control you. Because at the end of the day, if you let that type of stuff control you, it looked like the psychologist that the game company hired did their job. And never let anyone else control you in your life. You know, do what bet for you, do what make you happy. Once again, long you're not hurting anybody. Don't let anything control you in
Do
life.
not force yourself to play this game, because at the end of the day, you know, they're gonna put out some campaign and then you're gonna get really pissed off because everyone else gets the free gear that you work so hard to get, blah blah blah. And you know,
I'm looking at UTI. You know what I did?
if you just take a break, you're the one that's winning, right? You know, you take a 6-month break, you come back, you're like, oh wow, all of this free gear, oh my god, that's amazing. But with that being said, it's kind of important to pick the time, or pick the correct time when you come back to the game. So for example, the 3.5-year anniversary is amazing. You better come back during this 3.5-year anniversary if you are planning to return to the game, because you are getting the maximum amount of freebies. Do not come back to the game when there isn't a seasonal event or when there isn't like a gigantic anniversary event. These are kind of the key.
Okay, chat, hear me out, Hill. I love how Quoby
Trauma
right now.
hell.
I think you might be picking up on what I'm putting down already, Ti. I love how Quoby started it being like, oh yeah, just come back in a couple months or a year, and it would be a totally dissing game. And now we heal ending it being like, don't come back while they're having a holiday event, because if a special event not happening, the game is not worth coming back to. Okay. Okay. Like, I think if you're gonna come back and you coming back, like, the game itself should be a better game and work for you to come back, and not only better because there was like an event happening that's gonna go away in a few days. Like, that did not build me with confidence that the game got better. That it's still relying on.
This right here is my favorite thing ever.
Dan White.
In the history of forever.
Dan White.
I think about this every day. I think about this all night long. I stay awake, not sleeping, because I'm thinking about this.
We all are. That, like, one thing not like the other, chat, you know? I think that, like, proving my point of NGS will get better, but once you boil it down to what it is, it will always still be the same game, just a little bit more polished, but to a point that, like, will you any notice it?
Key moments on when you should come back. But, you know, to be honest, seasonal events are literally every other month, and then the big anniversary events is every 6 months, right? So it's pretty hard to miss that window. But, you know, if you do miss that window, then yeah, you'll come back and you'll be like, wait, what the hell, man? It's so hard to grind for this. It's so hard to gear up. It's so hard to do whatever. And unfortunately,
and then we get into the argument of like, but you guys, not saying Quopy have said that, but I have seen like the argument of like, oh, just come back and farm for like 6 hours, and then you're gonna have 10 million Maseta, and then you can just fight it up, and then you all back having the better equipment in the game, and you all good.
Whoa,
So,
no.
What?
No,
What?
we're
What?
not doing that. No. I don't know why you're into
I
this,
figure that much.
but we're stopping it.
I figure that much. That might be too much for you, chat. I understand. But yeah, that's one thing I have seen a lot. Just like, oh yeah, just come back, bomb in a battle sector, get your money, and then just fight it up. It's not that bad. Like, you know, once again, it like the whole it'd be hard to come back, and like, no, or I can come back, spend about $20 and just put some stuff up on the market, and then buy my stuff, and then I'm good. As long as the money or the economy is not horribly out of whack. So it's still not hard to catch up, allegedly, depending on what way you want to go, any of it, no holiday event. But Continue.
That's kind of the way that this game is designed. It's like, yeah, when the events are here, you better play, because that's when you can get all the gear you can get.
Honestly, Kobe not Wandale, because of like the whole thing of like I was saying earlier about the player bait number. You do see a fight during events, which is the reason why they do them so often.
Get all the augments, you can get all the end game stuff very, very easily. But when there are no events,
what up?
It's not that bad. Blink twice if you are being held against your will.
I should, God damn it, that more than twice. Shit.
events, well, good luck grinding for everything, because it's gonna be a pain in the ass. Special thanks to
and also if it's a pain in the ass and not fun, then it like that also might be another discussion to be had here about the game design of farming and how farming should be rewarding and not wasting your time or a pain in the ass. The game itself should be designed to you know, not make you hate that affiliate, especially if that is the majority of the affiliate tied to the game itself.
To all the members for supporting the channel, it really means a lot to me. Thank you again.
But yeah, that's really all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.
Yeah.
Games aren't supposed to be fun.
They're not. They're supposed to be a second job. Any of it kind of contradict the statement of the game supposed to be fun and relaxing that he was hitting on so hard. Almost. Quopy almost got it. I do agree with some of the stuff Quopy said there, but I do feel like, by the way, go stick right to Quopy. I do feel like some of the statement, which, you know, also could be on Pulpit's heel. Like some of the statements is like, you know, right up to the point, and then did like the little bit of a sidetrack on it from a personal standpoint, but without looking at the picture from like a greater point of view of like, you know, the player base as a whole, not specifically from your own point of view. Like I don't feel like Kobe did that much. It seems
If you take a break from the job, it makes it more bearable. That's wild.
Exactly. You all what we tell you know that kind of true. Why it bearable, and then like 5 minutes into your shift, then it wiped out the shit. But nonetheless, but yeah, I would say that the main thing about that video overall, like I feel like Quopy ideal in like the white ideal, and like he obviously get the point, but I feel like the in the discussion though, it's like very much looking at it from a single point of view instead of from a like the whole game point of view. You know, all the players, all the people that loves it, the people that hates it, the people in between. You know, it's very isolating point of view in a lot of this. So yeah, like very much getting to the point and then being like, it doesn't matter to me, and it shouldn't to you either, you know, type of mentality in this. But yeah, let's see how many comments. 207 comments. Quopy have here. 207 comment. I'm kind of curious. This is a full science chat. Let's see if my is that normal or not. Let's see. False. Yeah, like pull the right here, like a pulpit example of this. Like, yeah, 13 comments on this. Hi Gundam. And then that one have 207. So obviously the one-sided statements did what it needed to do for engagement. So good job on that, Quopy. But yeah, I don't know. Not like I said.
What's in the fucking box?
I'm not getting into box shit, champ. I'm not getting into box. We saved that to after we get done with YouTube videos. But yeah, I get Quopy point of view though, like, but it was very single. But nonetheless, I get we just turned a 13-minute video into a 2-hour YouTube video. So there we go. We just added an hour and like 50 minutes of content to that one video. So you know how I feel about this. But I get with that, champ. If y'all seen it on YouTube after the fact, hit thumbs up, subscribe, hit all the bells. Give me your opinion below. And yeah, enjoy the hour 40-minute of rant off a 13-minute video. Like, favorite, and subscribe, chat. Do it. And with that, we're going to keep on streaming here on Twitch. Twitch.tv/ChoyMaca. Come on over. We stream every day.